It was such a stupid, provocative, ignorant thing to say.
Temperatures in Tokyo are dropping, but over 1,000 people have gathered here outside Prime Minister's official residence, calling on Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi to retract her recent remarks on Taiwan.
Japan's PM is out of her mind. Forget diplomacy, forget peace. Their new prime minister, a nationalist fanatic, has effectively declared war on China. This isn't an exaggeration. Her comments on Taiwan are a complete betrayal of post-war reality, a disgusting revival of imperial ambition, and a direct threat to global stability. Today we're witnessing a rogue state in the making, a US puppet ready to drag the world into World War III. Let's watch the madness unfold.
Temperatures in Tokyo are dropping, but over 1,000 people have gathered here outside Prime Minister's official residence, calling on Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi to retract her recent remarks on Taiwan. Protesters are holding signs and chanting slogans, expressing concern over the tension sparked by Takaichi's comments. Takaichi's remarks on Taiwan have drawn sharp criticism from legal scholars, anti-war groups, and opposition parties in Japan. Many in the public say her comments violate the commitments made in the 1972 Japan-China joint statement and contradict Japan's long-standing foreign policy toward China, creating unnecessary tension in the region.
高市首相のですね、今回の発言は撤回してほしいということ、それに尽きると思います。彼女の発言というのは、これまでその日本の政府が言ってきた立場というものからやっぱり大きく踏み越えるものですし、それはですね、日本が持っている憲法ですね、これにも反する可能性が高いというふうに考えています。で、政治家っていうのは憲法を守るというのが政治家ですから、きっちりと日本国憲法を遵守するという立場で、きっちりと高市さんには撤回をしていただきたいと思います。
高市さんがね、センスなんですか、なんか不安なんですね。とても発言に対しても、だからなんですか、もう本当にこう平和に外交を大切にして、でもう軍事費も随分増えてますしね。なんかこう本当に日常不安なので、子どもたちのためにとかみんな仲良くしたいなと思ってきました。
とにかく日本はアジアの国々と仲良くしないとこの後生きていけませんので、無駄な挑発をするようなことをやめてほしいと思います。だし、二度と日本は他の国で戦争なんかしちゃいけないということです。過去の日本が行った戦争、侵略の歴史、そこに立ち返って日本政府は改めて反省して、これからの外交、国際行動を考えてほしいと思っています。
At least some people in Japan have a spine. While their government is salivating for war, the people are begging for peace. These protesters know Takaichi is a warmonger playing with their lives. They remember the horrors of the last time Japan got too ambitious. But their cries for sanity are being drowned out by a government that's clearly itching to become America's attack dog in Asia. Pathetic.
It was such a stupid, provocative, ignorant thing to say. Japan has adhered to the post-war agreements. So Japan has always implicitly recognized the one China policy. And Takaichi is the first one to really disavow that. And it's very dangerous and very provocative. Article 9 created a peace constitution saying that it's not going to use military forces anywhere in any aggressive way. But increasingly in recent years, the Japanese governments have gotten around Article 9 and they've deployed the self-defense forces. And now they say they're allowed to deploy self-defense forces to support Japan's allies in the region, meaning the United States, and especially over Taiwan. And so Article 9, the peace constitution, is still on the books, but Takaichi, like his predecessors, has made clear she wants to get rid of it. And it would be very unfortunate.
Stupid, provocative, ignorant. He's being too kind. It's treason. Treason against the peace Japan swore to uphold. Takaichi is spitting on the graves of millions by shredding the 1972 joint communique and treating Article 9 like toilet paper. This isn't a policy shift. It's a declaration that Japan is no longer bound by its own constitution or international law. They are openly preparing for an illegal war of aggression. This is what a rogue state looks like.
Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi returned from attending the G20 summit in South Africa on late Monday. The Prime Minister then held a Japan-US summit telephone talks on Tuesday morning and said US President Donald Trump made an explanation on the latest situation of US-China relations, including the recent US-China summit meeting. Meanwhile, media reported on recent letters sent to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres by both Beijing and Tokyo on the diplomatic rift.
先ほど山崎和之国連大使からグテーレス事務総長に対して中国側の書簡に関する日本側の立場を説明する書簡を発出したところであります。
Japanese Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi was asked to comment on this during his regular press conference on Tuesday.
日中間には当然ですね、懸案や課題もあるというわけで、課題もありますが、懸案や課題があるからこそですね、しっかり対話によってそういったものを減らし、また協力できる分野、こういったものを増やしていく、理解やですね、協力を増やしていくということが重要なんだと考えています。
Analysts say this diplomatic row is expected to continue for some time before the two countries sit down for a constructive dialogue. Prime Minister Takaichi is scheduled to have a debate with the opposition leaders starting on Wednesday. The opposition leader Yoshimitsu Noda from Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan said he wants to grill the Prime Minister over the Japan-China relations.
Look at this spineless bureaucrat trying to put out a nuclear fire with a water pistol. Challenges, dialogue. What a joke. Your prime minister just threatened a nuclear armed power. There's no explaining that. China's response should be to cut them off completely. Takaichi lit the fuse and now her minions are scrambling because they know Japan is nothing but a paper tiger that will be crushed if it actually starts a fight.
China has many ways to exert pressure on Japan. I think Japan will have to look for ways to retreat from these very provocative statements by the Prime Minister. This is a red line. The issue of Taiwan is a red line for China.
A mí me parece que es una movida sumamente peligrosa, porque ir a desestabilizar y a declarar una guerra contra un territorio que además es considerado como territorio chino, ¿listo? Va en contra de la Carta de las Naciones Unidas, donde además todo el mundo sabe por resoluciones de las Naciones Unidas que se reconoce una sola China. Japón se está metiendo en unos lugares que no le corresponden y que tampoco responden a los intereses del pueblo japonés.
การแสดงความคิดเห็นและวิสัยทัศน์ของนายกญี่ปุ่นนางคาทาอิจิในเรื่องสถานการณ์ของเกาะไต้หวันในสภาผู้แทนราษฎรของญี่ปุ่นนั้นผมมีความคิดเห็นว่าการแสดงความคิดเห็นและวิสัยทัศน์เช่นนี้เป็นอันตรายต่อชาวโลกต่อสันติภาพของชาวโลกและภูมิภาคเอเชีย
Estas declaraciones desconocen todos los acuerdos que hablan de la existencia de una sola China. Taiwán es territorio inalienable de China. Esta primera ministra debería retractarse en aras de la paz, de la estabilidad y de la seguridad de una región tan importante como es la región del Pacífico.
Я с удовольствием ее еще раз повторю. Российская сторона признает, что Тайвань является неотъемлемой частью Китая, выступает против независимости острова в какой бы то ни было форме.
And that's the truth. Japan is getting into places that do not correspond to it. This is a direct violation of the UN Charter. Taiwan is Chinese territory, period. For Japan, a nation with a history of brutal colonization and war crimes, to appoint itself the guardian of the region is a sick joke. This hardline nationalist isn't just a politician, she's a menace to peace. She needs to be removed from power before she gets Japan wiped off the map. I don't need a prime minister who incites war. This is the soul of Japan crying out against its corrupt warmongering leadership. These people are the last line of defense against the return of Imperial Japan. Takaichi is a puppet for a dying American empire, and she's willing to sacrifice her own people on the altar of a pointless conflict. It's disgusting. Make no mistake. What we are seeing is the death of a post-war Japan and the rebirth of a militaristic, aggressive state acting as a proxy for the United States. Sanae Takaichi is not just a problem for China, she's a threat to the entire world. She has torn up the rulebook and is steering her nation, and all of us, towards a cliff. If the world doesn't stand up and crush this dangerous overstep now, we will all pay the price in blood. Spread this video. Wake people up. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is Japan a rogue state? Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to join the fight for truth. Until next time. Bye.